Welcome, dear viewers, to a special sun-drenched edition of Cops where the uniform isn't always a flak jacket. Sometimes it's just a pair of sturdy beach shorts and a fervent wish that your ATV doesn't get stuck in the ridiculously soft sand. Our host for the Aquatic Anarchy is an officer who truly, deeply, passionately loves not having an office job, because apparently an office job is an aggressively soul-sucking vortex of despair that makes cruising the beach on a quad bike look like a promotion to the celestial realm. This man, let's call him Officer Beach. Vibe is living the dream where his commute is a scenic ride along the waterways, and his biggest existential threat is the sheer joy of it all. And speaking of existential threats, the universe quickly decides to test this newfound professional bliss with a triple dose of aquatic incompetence. Officer Beach Vibe spots not one, not two, but three poor souls caught in a rip current waving their arms with the kind of frantic energy usually reserved for trying to flag down a taxi in a monsoon. The good news is a lifeguard is pulling up a glorious, highly trained professional named Brian, as we later discover, which means Officer Beach Vibe can, for a glorious moment, just watch for now and make sure they don't, die. The dispatch call is a masterpiece of understatement, 250. I'm out with a distressed swimmer at the back porch, lifeguards on scene. The distressed swimmer later turns out to be only one person, while the other two were apparently just enthusiastic surfers who decided the best way to hang out was to look perpetually on the brink of disaster. But whatever, the important thing is that heads are above water. This is a red flag day, which means the ocean is basically throwing a massive frothing tantrum. It's not quite double red flag Armageddon, but it's definitely not a friendly green flag. It's somewhere in between red-yellow, like a traffic light that's deeply confused about its life choices. We get a quick vital public service announcement on how to survive the infamous rip current swim sideways or float, because fighting it is a fast track to being bogged down, running out of energy, and in a truly sobering moment of beach, reality possibly drowning. The water apparently is a sneaky trickster. You can be up to your waist 1 second, and the next the rip current has you out to your chest contemplating your life choices. The rescue is successful, thanks to Brian, the great lifeguard, who is a great asset. Everyone is alert and conscious, which frankly is a fantastic result for a red flag day. The emergency service rigmarole begins 9-1. One was called, so the police have to see if the rescue trio needs medical attention. If not, it's the beautiful phrase, "I'll cancel firing EMS. Show us back in service easy as can be." They bring the rescued gentleman in, gently trying not to keep him too rattled, because apparently almost drowning is quite rattled. The officer notes the real danger, a thing called dry drowning, where water gets trapped in your lungs and you might not realize it until later, suffering from coughing, a headache, or fatigue. Our guy, however, seems fine, which is a victory for the human body. The rescued civilian, who only got sucked in, admits he can't really swim, which is a bold choice for a red flag ocean day. His friend, the knowledgeable one who kept him calm, apparently didn't mention this crucial detail before they went in. The officer's final bit of advice is a truly helpful, non-arrestable suggestion. Try swimming on your back, which is a little bit easier in a rip current. With a hearty, "I'm glad you made it out, man." The swimmer is free to go, having been offered water and the option of a medical check. The call out itself was an epic saga of confusion, starting with someone screaming for help out, which led to Brian's deployment, only for the officer to realize his colleague was interacting with a surfer. The officer almost decided it was a false alarm, but then the non-swimmer revealed his tragic self-imposed predicament. Lesson learned, the ocean is not a pool, despite how tranquil it might look on a calm day. The action then shifts to the utterly predictable yet always dramatic world of spring break eviction. Our next location is a vacation rental where the manager for the property, likely a person whose soul has been thoroughly leached out by rowdy college kids, has called the police to remove 6 male spring breakers. Apparently, they have been causing an issue, which is police code for being loud, obnoxious, and generally failing at basic human decency. The officers roll up to back up their colleagues and find all 6 suspects standing outside. The confrontation is a classic study in youthful arrogance meeting bureaucratic boredom. Officer Johnson is confronted by a student who immediately devolves into a victim, screaming, "I didn't do anything. I'm standing on the sidewalk, this Airbnb guy." The officer, having heard this exact line 1,000 times, simply points to a direction and says, "Oh, This your last chance. Okay, you're gonna go in there and grab your stuff. Our hero of the moment, realizing the party is truly over, tries the classic legal Hail Mary. Can I ask what I'm being arrested for trespassing? I'm standing on the sidewalk. The officer calmly explains that they were told to leave and grab their stuff, and refusing to do so makes it, you guessed it, a problem. The student's ultimate concern is the $10,000 refund, which the police are quite correctly not going to deal with, explaining with the patience of saints that such matters are civil and require a court. The property manager pops in to explain his deep spiritual commitment to being a good steward to the neighborhood, complete with age limits, no parties, and even noise sensors, which sounds like a truly miserable but necessary existence in Key West. The officer delivers the legal coup de grace. The owners have the right to refuse service at any time, and the students have to leave. After a brief moment of negotiation, the boys confirm they have a ride coming, and Officer Johnson gives them the standard, utterly ignored lecture about trying to keep things under control so they aren't trespassed from half a key west. Another officer observes this predictable scene. This is a classic spring break hotel eviction. Let's hope they don't get evicted from the next hotel as well. Then comes the gruesome aftermath, the typical spring break mess. The officer notes the sheer disaster left in the wake of fun, luckily without any actual property damage. One of the evicted students is then asked about the prices, revealing that 9 of them paid a whopping $500 each for a 3-bedroom suite with 2 balconies, a detail that clearly explains why they were so mad about being evicted. The officer then transitions seamlessly into a new PSA, reminding the students about the crucial Key West. Laws no open containers of alcohol anywhere in the city, limits no underage drinking, and don't be a litter bug with trash empty. Bottles, especially glass. The open container offense is an arrestable offense, which is a fun detail to drop right before letting them go. The sea calls again as spring break is in full session. The officers predict boat incidents because it's rough out, and young people are naturally prone to maritime mayhem. The Coast Guard quickly proves them right. A jet ski has been overturned. The officers rush to the scene. The jet skiers are unharmed, just comically trying to remount their aquatic steed. The officer helpfully shouts a piece of advice that seems obvious to any sailor, yet completely foreign to a novice when you get on lean to the side that she's climbing up on, so that don't happen again. It's the classic situation, younger folks who are new boaters on jet skis in rough conditions. This pervy incident, as one officer charmingly calls it, a likely mishearing, mistranscription of per usual or typical in the text, is solved quickly. Within minutes, the jet skiers are safely back on board and on underway. Finally, we head to the spiritual heart of Key West chaos, Duval Street. The officer who has been working Key West since 2006, transplanted from Tampa, apparently acknowledges that this town is a melting pot of global tourism, from spring break to Fantasy Fest, a truly different kind of mayhem. The complaint is a classic. A gallery owner is complaining about a street performer, the infamous Piano Man, who is playing a little loud. The encounter with the Piano Man is the perfect comedic climax. The officer approaches, asks for ID, and the performer's face lights up. Is awesome. Coming to watch me. The immediate cold legal reply, yes, sir. Do you have ID with you? No. And do you have your permit? I do not know. The officer then drops the double whammy. All right? So you got 2 violations going on. The first is a glorious arrestable violation, obstructing the city sidewalk. The second is the lack of a permit. The Piano Man, whose name is Kevin, is a classic earnest artist. He doesn't have ID. He's from Michigan. He's living in my car, man. And he's totally beautifully ignorant of the law. I don't know the laws here. I thought you guys were coming because you were proud of me or something. The obstruction violation is explained in a moment of pure practical absurdity. A wheelchair can't get through here. And just as the officer explains the criminal charge, a woman with a walker appears, perfectly illustrating the exact safety hazard Kevin is creating. The officer patiently explains the bureaucratic nightmare of street performing an annual permit that costs about $99, but the real killer is the insurance. He also throws in a third bonus violation. That's an ordinance violation as well. We don't allow any camping in the vehicle, sir. Kevin's only defense is that people told him Key West was a place of music. He is directed to the one possible sanctuary, Mallory Square, and then reveals his artistic niche, classical poetry, where he plays classical music and does poetic storytelling over top, inspired by his Christian faith. The officer, having absorbed the genre, explains that the rules exist because without them, Duval Street would be flooded with musicians, and the legal guys wouldn't be able to make their money and survive. Since Kevin came back clean, no warrants, the officer decides to show leniency, issuing a documented warning. The officer then reflects, he was actually pretty good. So I wish him the best of luck, which is the nicest possible ending to a bureaucratic beatdown. The final scene returns to the beach, which is now somehow at double red flags, but also really, really busy, and the most packed the officer has seen it all year. The weather is beautiful, but the danger is real. The final patrol is a gentle anticlimactic, and a group of girls are suspected of being underage and having alcohol. They're from Tennessee and are asked for ID. They are all over 21, and the officer is thrilled they have their IDs, saying it makes my job easier. They are nursing majors from Lincoln Memorial, and the officer declares them squared away, adding, "We're prepared, it's pretty great. We gotta be prepared." As they are legal, they are simply wished a great and safe time, because even in the chaotic heart of spring break, sometimes people are surprisingly doing the right thing. And with that, the day is done. The jet skis are upright, the spring breakers are evicted, the piano man has a warning, and the beach officer's soul remains blissfully unsucked.